The New York Islanders are struggling to score goals, and one player who they need to come through but has been struggling lately is Bo Horvat. We'll talk about the impact Horvat's slump has had, plus we'll preview tonight's game against the Boston Bruins. All that and more on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Wednesday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You could start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. If you win your first $5 bet, visit FanDuel.com to get started. The Islanders, we all know, in fact, we knew coming into the season that this is a team that is not the most gifted offensively. And right now, the Islanders are 27th in the league in goals scored through their first 22 games. And look, let's face it, it just isn't good enough. And yes, we know Anthony Duclair missed a lot of games, only played 5 games. He's missed 17. We know that, the guy who makes this team go, Mathew Barzal, he's missed a dozen games so far and wasn't playing great even before the injury. So, yeah, there are reasons when you're missing 2/3 of your top line that your offense may not be as productive. But here's the thing. The Islanders, when players go down, this being professional sports, the motto is next man up. So when someone gets injured, someone else has to step up. And we've seen some players do just that. Anders Lee, playing his best hockey probably in the last 2 or 3 years, moved up to the first line when Duke and Barzal were injured. He has 8 goals through 22 games, basically on pace for about 29 goals for the season. Last year, he only had 20. Anders Lee has stepped up. J.G. Pageau, 5 goals through 22 games, on pace for about 17, 18 goals a year. Still better than the 11 he had a year ago. And Pageau has played better this year, again, than he has in, let's say, the last couple of seasons. He got moved up to the first line after the injury struck, and he has, for the most part, stepped up his game. But one player who has been struggling, much to the frustration of Islander fans, is Bo Horvat. We are 22 games into the season. Bo has played in all of them, and he has 5 goals. Bo Horvat is on pace for about 17, 18 goals. Same number as J.G. Pageau. And unless J.G. Pageau is on pace for 30 goals, you don't want Bo Horvat to be at the same pace for goal scoring as J.G. Pageau. It just isn't what you want to see. And again, I get it. He misses Mathew Barzal. He misses Anthony Duclair. There are reasons that Bo Horvat is struggling. But at the same time, he has gone 8 games without a goal. And he has, in those 8 games, only 2 assists. That's not going to get it done. When you're on the top line, you've got to be better. And it's not that he's not getting opportunities. Bo Horvat had 5 shots on goal against Detroit on Monday night. Bo Horvat has been getting opportunities, 4 shots in the overtime loss to the Devils, 3 shots against the Blues, 3 shots against the Flames. He is not getting chances. He just isn't able to convert on any of them. And he's not really helping set up other players. I mean, in 8 games, to have a guy who was on your number 1 power play unit and your top line to have no goals and 2 assists in 8 games is just not a formula for winning hockey games. And look, players get into slumps, especially usually guys who are very good offensively. How many times have you heard us say, yeah, Kyle Palmieri, streaky? Yeah, he is. Most goal scorers and offensive players are streaky. You get the hot streaks and the cold streaks. But, Bo Horvat wears an A on his sweater because of his leadership ability. Bo Horvat is getting paid big bucks by the New York Islanders to be a productive offensive player. And look, I don't have to tell you that he has an $8.5 million cap hit. So this team needs more from Bo Horvat. Now, he's done great in the faceoff circle. It's not that he hasn't been contributing at all to the team's success, but he's also been part of the problem offensively, and the Islanders just need more from him. And it is time. The old adage in sports, and it's true in hockey, if you want to win, especially in the playoffs, the old adage is your best players have to be your best players. Well, Bo Horvat is one of the Islanders' best players. And especially with no Anthony Duclair and no Mathew Barzal in the lineup, he has to be one of their best players. I mean, it's Bo, it's Brock, it's Anders Lee right now. Maybe JG Pageau gets into the mix, maybe Maxim Siplikov, but realistically, Bo Horvat, when everyone is healthy, is one of your top 3 or 4 forwards on this roster offensively. Right now, he's he's supposed to be one of the top 2 or 3, and he's not producing. So, what is it that Patrick Roy can do? Not a lot at this point. And Roy himself, and I don't know if I agree with this, but Roy himself has basically been saying, hey, I like the way we're playing. It's not like we're not getting chances. We have to keep doing what we're doing and believe and know that if we keep playing well, some of these chances are going to go in. We're getting the chances. I don't know if that's 100% true and how much of that Patrick Roy is saying to protect his team. But realistically, Bo Horvat needs to step up. And, again, sometimes it's not only how many goals you score, but when you score them, just like for goalies. It's not just how many saves you make, but sometimes when you make saves or how big those saves are. The Islanders need Bo Horvat now to step up when things are tough. And, maybe, and I've said this before, every dayers, you got to go back to maybe last year for this. Maybe Anders Lee and Bo Horvat's styles are a little too similar in that Anders Lee has stepped up and sort of been not quite the Bo Horvat role, but he's sort of infringing a little bit on Bo Horvat. Horvat likes to get down low. He likes to take those one-timers from the deep slot. But, that means Mathew Barzal usually gets him the puck. But down low, that's where Anders Lee goes. And maybe, just maybe, this line of Lee, Pageau, and Horvat, while the trio has benefited Lee and Pageau, it really hasn't helped Bo Horvat. Now, the problem is, based on the talent you have on this team right now? Who's there? Who's available? Who's healthy? Who do you put with Bo Horvat? I mean, do you try Oliver Wahlstrom? I don't think Wally has done much to produce and show that he's capable of helping Bo Horvat come out of his slump. Simon Holmstrom, Casey Cizikas, Pierre Engvall, all of these guys have been tried and shown to not have, what it takes offensively to be legitimate top six guys. You don't want to break up Nelson, Siplikov, and Palmieri. That's the only line that has consistently been clicking for the Islanders. So it is a dilemma for Patrick Waugh to try to figure out how to get Bo Horvat going. And maybe it does come back to the same thing that I've been saying about the team in general. Keep it simple. Bo Horvat, go to the net. Get tips, get rebounds, screen the goalie and let the puck hit you on the way in. Do those little things. When you're slumping, you go back to basics. And the Islanders need Bo Horvat to get back to basics now and start putting some pucks in the net. When your other two top line players are down, you need the one guy who's still standing to raise his game. Hopefully, from an Islanders perspective, Bo Horvat will be able to do that soon because this team needs production from Bo. All right, we have got a lot more to get to on today's show. It is Wednesday, so we will have our weekly farm report on all things Bridgeport Islanders. We'll also preview tonight's home game as the Islanders close out this 3-game homestand against the Boston Bruins. And for our Islanders birthday of the day, a player who only spent, parts of 2 seasons with the Islanders, but maybe better known for being an assistant coach and a member of the front office after he retired. Let's see if you can guess who this former NHL defenseman is. We've got all that and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at Built Rewards. And look, if you're a renter, I'd start taking advantage of Built if I were you. Here's the thing. We earn points on groceries, travel, and practically everything else we buy, but we should also be earning points on rent, one of our biggest monthly expenses. Built changed the game by letting renters earn high-value points on rent and around their neighborhood. There's no cost to join Built, and as a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent and your everyday spending. Built points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, and even the ones you haven't heard of. There are over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties around the world you can redeem your Built points toward. Points can also be redeemed toward a future rent payment and unique experiences that only Built members can access. So if you're not earning points on your rent, my question is, why not? Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNHL. That's joinbilt.com/LockedOnNHL. Make sure you use our URL so they know we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNHL to start earning points on your rent payments today. Today's episode is also brought to you by your friends at Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. My favorite feature on the Game Time app remains the view from your seat. You go on the app and you can see a panoramic view from your seat before you purchase the tickets, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today What time is it? Game time. Time now for our weekly farm report. We do this every Wednesday. We talk a little Bridgeport Islanders hockey so you can keep up with some of the Islanders' top prospects right now. 3 games were played last week, and it was a mixed bag for the Bridgeport Islanders. They started off on the road Friday and were defeated soundly by the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins 5-0. Joel Blomqvist saving all 23 shots he faced for the Penguins farm club, Wilkes-Barre Scranton. And, Jakob Skarek took the loss for the Islanders. Again, not a lot of good coming out of a 5-0 shutout loss that got the weekend off to a less than promising start. But things did get better as the weekend progressed. The Islanders returned home and faced the Charlotte Checkers. And, this game went to a shootout. Julien Gauthier had a goal and an assist. His goal coming on the power play. The other goal scored by Travis Mitchell on Hockey Fights Cancer Night in Bridgeport. Marcus Hogberg, 32 saves. And only let in 1 goal in 4 rounds in the shootout, but unfortunately that was enough for the Islanders to take a 3-2 shootout loss on Saturday. So at least the Islanders earning a point. And then on Sunday, it was the Islanders and the Hartford Wolfpack. That's the Rangers AHL farm club. So the Islanders' biggest rivalry, not only at the NHL level, but at the AHL level as well. The Islanders emerged with a 4-1 win, with 3 of those goals coming in the third period. Mark Gatcomb, he got the game winner, breaking a 1-1 tie. Travis Mitchell, Liam Foudy, and Brian Pinault also scoring. And Marcus Hogberg, 24 saves. He's now 2-0-2 in his last 4 games. So the 3-day weekend, essentially a 1-1-1 record, which, let's face it, for Bridgeport this year, that is a step up. Brian Pinault still leads the team with 11 goals and 17 points. Chris Terry has 14 assists to pace the team, 15 points. And then Frederick Karlstrom, 8 goals, 10 points. Mark Gatcomb, 7 goals, 9 points. Alex Jeffries right now, 3 goals and 9 points in 14 games. And the highest scoring defenseman right now, Samuel Bolduc, he has 3 goals and 8 points at the moment. Mathew Maggio still kind of struggling, 1 goal, 7 points in 16 games. William Dufour, 2 goals, 4 points in 15 games. Those guys still looking for their groove in their second AHL season. Looking at the standings, Bridgeport remaining in 8th place in the Atlantic Division of the AHL. They're 3 points behind Lehigh Valley, 4 points behind Springfield, but Lehigh Valley has 2 games in hand on Bridgeport. Springfield has 1. So a little catching up still to do for the Bridgeport Islanders. Oh, yes, by the way, the goaltending, Marcus Hogberg, a 307 goals against average and a 903 save percentage. He is 2-3-3 on the year. Jakob Skarek, 3-6-0, a 314 goals against average and an 893 save percentage. For this weekend, the Islanders will close out the month of November and start December. Saturday, they face the Belleville Senators at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So no games Thursday or Friday, but home games Saturday and Sunday, both against Belleville. It is a 7 o'clock Eastern time start on Saturday and a 3 o'clock Eastern time start on Sunday. So if you want to see some of the Islanders' top prospects playing right now before they reach the island, you could go get some tickets for the Bridgeport Islanders, or you could watch any home or road game on AHL TV. Overall, Bridgeport still trying to figure things out, but the last 2 weeks have been better, at least. But the key in my mind is that we really want to see more from some of the guys who are considered prospects, whether it's Alex Jeffries, whether it's Mathew Maggio, William Dufour. These are guys that we really need to see pick up their game, not just for their own sake, but for the Islanders' sake, because the prospect cupboard just not very full right now. Cole Yzerman, by the way, continuing to do a great job and play very well in college, but again, he's still at least another couple of years away. One more year in college after this one, you would think. And the Islanders need some more players to step up, and it would be great to see this team start to win a little bit at the AHL level. Let's at least get in to the playoffs. All right, we have got more to get to on today's show. We will preview tonight's home game against the Boston Bruins. We'll also have our Islanders birthday of the day. We've got all that and more still to come on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you could check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bets. And Islander fans, use your knowledge of hockey and the Islanders on FanDuel. Some exciting options. Check out all the latest odds. Remember, the Islanders have a day off in between games. Boston does not. Will that help the Islanders? Check out the odds at FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com today to get started. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Become a fantasy hockey expert and get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Islanders, Bruins tonight at the UBS Arena. Another game the Islanders really need to win and get back on track. And the Bruins, they changed coaches about a week and a half ago, won their first 2 games under Joe Sacco, the former Islander, who is now their head coach. But this is a team that has been struggling to score goals all year long. Now, they played Vancouver on Tuesday night, so we will see how that affects things. But Jeremy Swayman got the start against the Canucks, so Eunice Korpisalo almost certain to be in goal for the Bruins against the Islanders tonight. Now, here's where they've been struggling. Boston is 30th in the league in goals scored, and even in those last 2 wins, they only scored a total of 3 goals. So offense has been a problem. 30th in the league. The power play, 31st in the league. The Islanders need to be aware of the fact that this Bruins team, despite the familiar names, they're struggling a little bit to put pucks in the net. Defensively, Boston only 23rd. Now, they traded Linus Ullmark. They still have Jeremy Swayman, but the defense, the team defense, just has not been the same. And the penalty kill, it's a little below average. They are 19th in the league at 77.9%. And one problem the Bruins have had all year long, only one team in the league has taken more penalties this year than the Boston Bruins. So that means the Islanders might just get a chance to run a few power plays, but it's got to pay off. Some familiar names at the top of this team, but the depth scoring is definitely lacking. David Pastrnak leads the team with 8 goals and 19 points coming into the Tuesday game against Vancouver. Brad Marchand, 6 goals, 15 points. Elias Lindholm, 3 goals, 10 points. Those were the only 3 players in double digits right now in points through 22 games, and no player on the Bruins right now is averaging a point a game. The line combinations, Pavel Zacha centers Morgan Geekie and David Pastrnak on the top line. Elias Lindholm, Brad Marchand, and Justin Brazeau are the second line. Charlie Coyle now back on the third line, centering Trent Frederick and Mark McLaughlin. Mark Kostelic centers John Beecher to his left and Cole Kopke to his right. On defense, it's Mason Malahori and Charlie McAvoy on the top pair. Ex-Islander Parker Wotherspoon and Brandon Carlo are the middle pair, and then Andrew Peak and Nikita Zadarov are the third pair. The goalies, Swayman and Korpisalo. I expect we see Korpisalo because Swayman played Tuesday. And out of the lineup right now, but not on IR, is Hampus Lindholm. Look, here is the situation. The Bruins and the Islanders are 2 teams that are both squeezing their sticks right now. And the Islanders right now have the worst power play in the league. The Bruins are next to the worst. The Islanders have the next to worst penalty kill in the league. Can't let the Bruins power play get started, and they do have talent. Boston can be physical. The Islanders have to make sure they are not intimidated and that they stand up for each other in this game, and hopefully they can do it. And hopefully the Islanders can get back on the winning track. And Lord knows, if this team has a lead entering the third period, they cannot afford, psychologically and point-wise, to blow it. And just to add to it again, the Bruins, one of those teams that looks like they will be battling for one of the final playoff spots in the Eastern Conference. Boston is better than its record. They hopefully will not get well against the Islanders tonight. Time now for our Islanders' birthday of the day, and today is the 68th birthday of former Islanders defenseman and front office employee and assistant coach Darcy Regier. The Swift Current, Saskatchewan native, originally drafted by the California Golden Seals in the 5th round of the 1976 NHL draft, made his NHL debut for the Cleveland Barons in 1977-78, played 15 games for them, then played 11 games over parts of 2 seasons with the Islanders, while spending a lot of time with the Islanders' various farm teams, mostly the Indianapolis Checkers. Ended up being the head coach of the Checkers and leading them to the playoffs after he retired in 1984-85. Was an assistant with the Islanders and with the Whalers, and then went into front office work. One of his best games as an Islander, October 16th, 1983, as the New York Islanders visit the Odd in Buffalo, taking on the Buffalo Sabres. And the Islanders got off to a 1-0 lead on a power play goal by Stefan Pearson. And then in the second period, with the score still 1-0, Butch Goring scores his third, Darcy Regier and Brian Trottier with the assists. So a big assist, the only point that he had as an Islander. That made it 2-0 Islanders. The Sabres did tie it on goals by Dave Andrechuk and Gilbert Perreault, but the Islanders get the game winner with a little more than 3.5 minutes left in the third period. Brent Sutter from Dwayne Sutter and Dennis Potvin. For Darcy Regier, he had an assist. He was a +2. Did not register a shot on goal, but that was his only point in 11 games as an Islander. What he did, though, in the front office and as a scout and all the different various roles he played after he retired, a much bigger role there for him than as a player. But Darcy Regier is our Islanders birthday of the day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. We're back tomorrow. We'll have our key takeaways from tonight's game against the Bruins. So make sure you join us for that. We'll also have a little bit about what we're thankful for as Islander fans. And yes, there are plenty of things to be thankful for, even if the team is struggling a little bit right now. If you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, email us at lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we discuss whatever's on your mind. You could also follow the show on X at Locked On Isles, and you could follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all year long, and I'm live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So join me for some instant insight and analysis. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe, and of course, let's go Islanders.